one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before I introduce you, let's take care of our town business here. I'd like to make a motion to accept the July minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Bones? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Judy, claims and vouchers?
For the general fund, $58,477.47. The highway fund, $158,158.28. The lighting district, $808.14. Trust and agency, $3,389.49. Capital accounts, $30,511.64. Totals, the warrant is $251,345.50.
Need a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept.
Mr. Dittis, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Claire. Everybody's received their supervisor's report. Need a motion to accept.
Make the motion.
Mr. Claire. Seconded by Mr. Dittis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, at this time we have a special guest representative from Senator Cahill's office, Warren Nordstrom. Floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'll take that. That's nice. Our office, as you know, was contacted by residents at the end of May. We then coordinated with the Public Utility Law Project, shorthand PULP, and John Perry of the town of Hurley, to draft a resolution and also a letter from our office, and 55 residents managed to sign on, which is phenomenal. We originally aimed for 25, and we had 55 residents, total of 43 letters actually come through of people telling their stories of what they were experiencing. Along with that, we sent it to the Public Service Commission requesting an investigation into the Hudson Valley Water Company. We received word late Thursday of their decision to move forward, and they will begin a full review and investigation into the issues facing the community, which will include billing practices, operations, water quality, communications between residents and the company and the town itself, as well as the infrastructure. I'm fully aware that there's been some dispute over the hydrants and whether or not they're meant for fire protection, and that's something that we definitely brought to the attention of the Public Service Commission as well. Fire protection is not something we should be confused about, and very much so the water quality is the lead thing on the issue as well. We have received Mr. Fuller's response that was reported on not too long ago. While he's chosen to dismiss the experiences and concerns of his customers as baseless, frivolous, and that this effort is entirely unnecessary and a waste of time on all parts, we believe that clean, reliable water is a human right, and that if his company is not providing that with his service, it needs to be rectified immediately as soon as possible. And it is imperative that we get to the bottom of this, which is why we requested an investigation. If there's confusion, if that needs to end, and we need to get these issues sorted out. So that's where we are. I will come out and say that this is not a quick fix. This does not mean, when I was at the library meeting not too long ago in June, I believe, we said that this is not going to be a quick thing. This does not mean they're going to come to us with a decision in 6 weeks and say this is what's going on, and then 3 months later we get to just overhaul everything. It means that in 3 months, give or take a little bit more, we expect to have a decision from the Public Service Commission. If we do not have a decision that we agree with, then the Public Utility Law Project will work with us to move forward on other steps that we could take. So, anybody have questions?
I have a question. Things in the Freeman, there was an article published, that came from Fuller.
Yes.
Is that the same article or same letter that you got also?
That is the same letter that we got. So when we sent out our letter to the Public Service Commission, we sent a copy to senators, we sent a copy to Mr. Fuller, we sent a copy to various people at the Public Service
I
Commission.
hope they realize he's lying.
We are fully aware. I have a binder of documentation, including communication, Specifically, he makes the claim that the town has never reached out to him regarding the parcels that are served. We have a copy of a letter that was sent from the town to Mr. Fuller, and we have Mr. Fuller's response to that he didn't know what to do with this information. There are numerous things that he states in that letter that we are very much aware are false because we have tangible evidence of such. And so the Public Service Commission, we are prepared to assist them in any way that we can in order to make sure that they have accurate information and that it's not just a matter of one man saying this is what's going on. There are 55 people who said what they feel is going on, and that's something that we don't believe should be ignored.
Can these 55 people put their money in escrow as opposed to sending him the money?
We are not able to give legal advice, I can say that. That is something that would be considered advising in a legal sense, because there's a contract between customers and a company, so for me to advise on that would be, and I'm also not a lawyer. I can tell you that that question can be answered by the Public Utility Law Project. We have a contact we've been working with. There is a resident that has asked that question, and I believe that resident was advised against that possibility because it would open up to retaliation, legal grounds to do so. But again, I am not an attorney, and we don't want to advise on that end.
Does the Public Service Commission have the power to sue him for damages?
I'd have to look into that and have an exact answer, to be honest with you. Do you
They
mean
could
from the
penalize.
town? Like damages to property or
Damages to the individual?
damages to the individuals? That's something that I'd have to look into with that
I
extent.
mean, I know the individuals would have the right to sue.
The Public Utility Law Project has represented individuals on that end, and that is,
Oh.
so, on that end, they take care of litigation.
Okay.
But they do have an ability to make the system safe,
There's
reliable.
various methods that we've discussed, one of which is the prevailing direction we'd like to go, is for if the decision goes how we believe it should go, then the decision to declare eminent domain would occur, and then the town would be able to take it over. If this were to become a municipal water district, that would mean that the system would be eligible for grants, for upgrades. Right now, it's owned by a private water company. There are, to our knowledge at this time, no grants available to a private company in order to improve the infrastructure. There is an upcoming federal funding water grant program coming up that our office is attending just for the sake of understanding what other things are available, whether or not for this system, also just in general, so we can better serve the communities that we represent, but that's something that we are hoping to find out more about as well.
Thank you.
Children's.
Yeah, it's children's.
Right?
In terms of the Public Service Commission, with all due respect, we looked at a 29-page decision in January that was quite honestly a whitewash of a lot of the issues our community had about what was going on. I mean, there was acknowledgement of all the letters we had sent last year, but not in any kind of meaningful way. Who is going to be overseeing the PSC on this? I hate to be, that's,
It's a good question.
a rude question to be asking. I feel like I have to ask.
Not a rude question at all. It's an understandable one. The Public Service Commission, as far as we can tell, did a disservice by granting a rate increase. Their grounds for granting that increase was that the funds would be used for infrastructure improvements. The biggest thing that Mr. Fuller has chosen not to do is provide an actual schedule of those improvements. He continues to claim, yes, I've started them, but when the town and residents have requested an actual time frame, which Central Hudson provided everybody with a time frame of when they would be doing different streets. And that's something that he has failed to produce, which, as far as we can see, it means that he failed to keep up his end of that bargain. As far as who is going to keep an eye on the Public Service Commission, I can tell you that our office is fully prepared to be annoying, for lack of a better phrase. We do plan on finding out, contacting them as regularly as possible. Polk will be following up as well. I do believe there has been another agency developing in order to oversee the Public Service Commission, but I'm unclear as to what exactly that's a new legislation thing, so.
So there's nothing in place.
I'm not sure if it's in place in terms of when it's actually going into place. I have to check that. But the Public Service Commission, they turned around that rate increase quicker than normal rate increases go. And that's part of the reason, and that's in our letter as to why that quick decision was made, disregarding as well those letters that were sent to residents. which, by the way, I will not to defend the PSC, but they have a very clear marker for what they deem something to investigate. So specifically, you need a town resolution and a town letter advocating for an investigation to take place, or you need 25 residents to write in one letter. So we had 23 letters last time, which is still a great number, but here's the kicker. They all came in at individual times. So you had one coming in on the 15th of July, and one on the 19th, and one on the 23rd. So they didn't view them as one packet and one group of people complaining. I know, I'm shaking my head as well. And that's unfortunate that you have the same number of people or more now, but you have such a large group of people making a claim, and it's because of the bureaucracy of how it's dealt with. It was fell through the cracks. So we don't want it to fall through the cracks this time, and we will do what we can in our power to make sure that it doesn't.
So short of the escrow scenario, so this goes on for 3 months, whatever. We have other issues with the water company between now and November, December, whatever. What is the recommendation coming from on high, from whether it's Punk or from the Assemblyman's office? What leverage do we have as customers of the company?
At this point, what I would suggest, like for example, was it 36 days you guys had consecutive boil water?
And she denied, yes.
Yes, which he denied. I have a nice average timeline of when you guys have actually gone through, and that one, the maximum one, is out of this world. But if there's a situation between now and when that decision comes through at any point, I would recommend contacting our office so we can bring it to the direct attention. I don't believe that it's helpful to send another packet of letters to do another, let me just send one letter of complaint, I think our office will be contacting them directly and stating, you're in the middle of investigating this, now this is going on, we need to address this, so.
Hydrants are generally used either for firefighting or flushing or both, but do we have any knowledge of any fire hydrant that was ever installed that was not intended for firefighting use any place ever?
Which is, again, why.
I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something.
No, you're not missing something. We have spoken with the fire commissioner's office, and I believe one of the things that was said was that the water that is available to the hydrants is not enough to deal with the situation if there was one to occur. And that's why Mr. Fuller claims that they are not meant for firefighting. So
what degree short are they?
I'm not sure exactly, he wasn't specific.
What are they meant for?
That is our question, what are they meant for, which is why we're asking for clarification. And if the system is meant to be flushed, we're very much aware that they are not regularly flushed as well, so that's not really an adequate answer.
Dogs, that was one. Is there a particular reason?
Not that I'm aware of, and that is something that I've actually looked into. So I'm not really quite sure why somebody would put a hydrant there. Also on that end, there's an expectation of a resident who lives somewhere and purchases a home. If they have a hydrant 200 feet from their house, I would imagine that they assume that it's there for that purpose. So whether or not it's there for that purpose, that's the assumption, and therefore that's what it is.
And I'm sure the insurance that people have on their
I
house.
was just gonna
immediately
say,
also thought
yeah.
the insurance.
Homeowners insurance companies
Homeowners
want to know if
insurance.
there's a
I'm
hydrant
assuming
within a
homeowners
certain
insurance
distance.
is
Yeah, the insurance companies want to know that those don't work.
functioning next to a house.
We had that,
Yeah.
but we have the firehouse.
Yeah, the fire that occurred
One hydrant at the school.
on which street?
Flanders Lane.
Flanders Lane, thank you. The fire department was unable to use the hydrants for that fire and had to bring in a tank, which actually caused further destruction to the neighborhood, to the residents and to.
Our car.
This gentleman lost a car.
Yeah, I know it's
Car.
car, tree. I believe the company might not have lost any, maybe the truck.
The road.
burnt to nothing, but-
The road.
John, on a new application for any water company, is there a stipulation on how many hydrants and how many feet apart they should be? Okay, I'm not asking you this question, I'm asking the Assemblyman's office to check that, because why would you install a hydrant if you don't have to? Okay, so I think that's one of the things that the PSC has to come forward with and answer that question. And I believe that there is a requirement.
Those hydrants were installed in 1959,
Correct, Liz.
so they should be working technically, right?
Absolutely, and you know something? I see them installing new hydrants.
Right.
Okay? So if there's not a requirement, then why are they installing them?
Yeah.
So I think the PSC needs to take a look at that aspect of the law to see on an application, is it required to have a hydrant and how many feet apart?
I wonder if Mr. Fuller, right, has ever been invited to address the town board?
He has.
He has been.
Has refused?
Yes.
Decline.
He has declined.
He had no request a representative come and he still declined it.
He said there's no issue.
And yet he claims on his PSC rate increase that he comes up twice a year, and we've never seen the guy in 10 years.
It's true.
Yes, the lease for his vehicle was included in this.
That's right.
It should be in the audit. That should be brought up in the audit.
Well, I don't know why the PSC allowed him to file his initial application to run the water company and not have any service level agreement for providing service to the customers. And on top of that, for the last 15 years, I've never seen a contract with the water company to me telling me what my responsibility is or theirs. All I do is get a bill.
That is something, I believe you put that in the
As
letter
soon
as
as you
well.
open, put a well on the
There's
property
that
and
schedule,
disconnect his
there's
line.
looks
I
like
did.
a contract.
That's all you,
That was
and they can't touch
Come in
it.
and
If you have no
disconnect.
contact with them, they
That's the
can't
one I
touch
have.
$2,005, and that's as close to a contract as what exists.
Yeah.
But it's not been
But it's not
generally
a full service
disseminated.
contract. It's also the same contract for all five of his water systems. It has all of them listed in front of it.
Oh, they're gonna move forward.
Are there any other, there's 5 water districts
Yes.
in this area? How are the other 4 doing? Are they complaining also?
One of them is Pine Hill. Mount Marion Park, as far as yes, Mount Marion Park is having issues as well, and as is High Falls. The other system, I don't have contact with them at this time. We haven't heard from them yet. But yes,
So can we actually combine them all together into one?
that is something that we are working towards. Yes.
Okay.
In our letter to the PSC, we clarified that there were 5 water systems in Ulster County that this man owns and are facing issues with. That this specific petition had to do with Pine Hill and West Road number 4, I believe that's the name of the system.
I do have one question. So then so once the audit's performed, the investigation is completed, will Pulp then make it available to the customers to decide some type of restitution based on potentially lowering the percentage, keeping the percentage the same? Will they have a voice in how the company, if he decides to keep it, proceeds forward to complete tasks in order to, fulfill the agreement at hand?
What I will do, I mean,
Lawsuits.
part of this depends on how the PSC decides things, but in terms of what measures they say. So there has been times the Public Service Commission has ordered a company to be bought out by a larger company. That is not something that Pulp is advocating for, because there's often been times that larger water companies are not necessarily better. So that's why the big thing that they're pushing for is for it to become in the hands of the town as opposed to in the hands of a private company. Again, because of infrastructure issues. But the town and the customers play part in that. In no way, shape, or form can our office or Pulp force a decision one way or the other. And that's also not something that they do. They work with customers and with the community in order to
I just want to
ensure
make sure they
that.
have a voice in the.
Yes, no, the decision on how to move forward is something that residents will be considered, yes.
And whatever restitution, they should be entitled to.
Any questions?
Anyone else? Questions? Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're more than welcome.
unbelievable work. You guys have been a voice of true advocacy, and we appreciate that.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Give Kevin my thanks.
I will give Kevin your best. Thank you.
Okay, so that was awesome news, and hopefully we can get things rolling, and inside of 3 months it'll be pretty amazing.
Thank you to the community for
Absolutely.
getting together, putting those letters together. I mean, who would have thought that you would have to do them all at once to get them and do that? It just seems like silliness to me, but overwhelmingly you did it for Hurley, so thank you. It really helps.
Not only that, though, with the Public
Good
Service
job,
Commission, when I
man.
spoke to them,
Good job.
you guys have an ID number? No, there was a,
Oh, no, we're not that formal.
no, I'm saying that, but when I spoke to them, they had 25 letters, and they assumed there was 25 different areas. And they said that if you were going to write to the Public Service Commission, there's an ID number that signifies West Hurley.
There's a case number. It's a
Case number.
Case number, yes.
Yeah, we provided the case number.
Yeah, so in other words, if you do write a letter to a public service commission, you
Yes.
should have the case number,
Yes.
you know, filed in that same folder as opposed to.
My understanding is that PSC has just done a total flip, all new folks. So for them, not only to
Well, Kathleen Burgess.
change that all up, but to actually, you know, get this answer to a, you know, to the point where it goes to a full investigation is pretty awesome. So they must have substantial evidence to move forward with this, and we're gonna, you know, I think this is gonna be a very positive outcome. We'll see where the town has to fit into this. Okay, so moving forward, tonight's agenda we have a, Matt, I have a couple things on here from the town highway as the liaison, if you would like to read off some of the resolutions.
Yeah, because we're gonna have a resolution, we're looking at getting some new sensors for the town highway department to monitor the methane levels of the town Hurley garage. The current system out there is antiquated, outdated, and not doing what it needs to do. So I have a resolution to purchase a new 4-channel controller, Beacon 410A, and sensors to monitor the methane levels of the town of Hurley garage. Whereas the town of Hurley Highway Garage has a 4-channel controller and sensors to consistently monitor the levels of methane, and whereas now the repairs to the old sensors are in need of replacement, and whereas a single sensor for the old unit to replace is $1,449, and if need to be replaced, the sensors for the new unit would only be $350. And whereas currently there is a need for 2 new sensors to be replaced at a total cost of $2,898, and whereas a new 4-channel controller, Beacon 410A, and 4 new sensors totaling $5,025.44 installed makes the most economical sense and will provide the town highway department garage with a better monitoring system and cheaper solution for future repairs. Therefore, let it be resolved to purchase the Beacon 410A 4-channel controller and 4 sensors at a cost of $5,025.44.
Matt put forth the motion. Any questions?
Can I ask a question? I know I'm not. Am I allowed?
Don't hold that.
Why replace those to check the methane? I mean, granted, it's there, but all it's going to let you know is you have a problem probably with that building, that you probably are going to have to vacate that building. So we're spending over $5,000 to just know a problem we already have with what's there. I think it's more, I know it's a lot more money, but it's safety for the men and women that work in that building. That building should probably be moved or changed. It's
Correct. So we're looking to do that. The money's not there to do that. What we're looking to do is, this is mandated by PESH, the public, you know, it's our OSHA, it's a state OSHA. You need both. You need the monitors, and then you need a system to evacuate the methane. So we're putting in the monitors to see what level we have. We have our engineers currently working on a system to put in fans and stuff to actually evacuate. So these are all things we're just trying to meet law with. We do know that we want to move the garage. We know there's a future for that, but we have to keep care of the people we have there now. We have to make it safe for them to be there.
Just to clarify, has anyone hired someone to actually do a leachator test to find out where that methane is actually coming from in the building?
It's one of the things we're looking for with our engineers to figure out where it's coming from.
Okay.
Coming in through the floor drain in the garage. It's obvious.
Could be,
There's a
sure.
monitor there.
Sure.
Do we know how long the problem has existed?
We don't, actually. We don't know.
The,
One monitor wasn't.
My sensor was disabled at some point in time previous to me, probably previous to this board.
When Linda and Rudy were there.
So.
I'm sorry?
I think when Linda and Rudy were there.
Linda and Rudy. So the DEC came in, they stated that that sensor did not need to be there. Mike has brought in DEC as well as PESH to look into that. As well as I've got the engineers working on a solution for an airflow monitoring system. Because obviously when the colder months are here, those bay doors need to be closed, and we have to figure this out.
yeah, that's
one of the other
how do you
solutions
heat
that
that
was
place
never
now?
one of the other solutions that was never done was that grate was actually supposed to be plugged. It was never plugged. So that's something that I'm working on. Potentially there was supposed to be a rerouting of the fluids that come in. It's not meant to be washed. It's not a washing bay. But obviously coming from the salt and solutions that come off the truck in the wintertime specifically, there is in need of a drainage, but not that drainage. So these are things that we're looking into, the engineers are looking into, but right now we have to rectify the problem as quickly as possible.
Are the employees still in that building, or should
Yes.
they be in temporary housing while this is all solved, so their health is protected?
So the only issue right now is the garage mechanics bay, that I was, that I've been told about. That was a reading of approximately 15%. That was with the, when they unplugged the grate. There's a rubber mat that was over it. At waist height, it did not register, I think it was actually -1.
Right.
So there's no potential right now, with the bays being open and the way things are being ran right now. This is not something that just has happened. This is something that's been going on for quite a long time. So we're trying to rectify it as quickly as possible.
Poor secretary.
And this is one of the ways that we're going to start by monitoring.
Right. One of the monitoring system is really important because when it gets above that level or gets up to where we're breathing, we'll know it now. This monitor will go off and eventually it'll be hooked into Whirl exhaust. This monitoring system also can be picked up and put into a new garage too. It can be
100%.
picked
We're
up
gonna have
and
to do that
reused
anyway.
again. So, but we want to make sure that the people that are in their garage right now, first of all, know if there's something wrong, and second, we take care of them.
I have a question on how often does the company that installed the monitoring system check the system?
So right now, they're there twice. It was once, when I became elected, we read the resolution to go twice a year.
So how come there was such a lapse in time to when this sensor was disconnected as to
I'm not the highway
finding
superintendent.
out that it's?
Yeah, that's
It's
a
nothing to
very,
do
that's a
with
very
that.
good question. I'm not the
I
highway
mean, that's a
superintendent.
long lapse of time.
I agree with you, 100%.
Mr.
Should've
Perry,
been dealt with day number
how is that
7.
building heated? Is it heated with natural gas, with methane, or?
No.
No,
No, it's
made
oil
of
burns.
Oil.
It's all
Oil
burns.
burns.
Yeah.
Closed system loop.
So it's a ground leak.
It's ground.
It's not a
100%.
heating system
The
leak.
garage is built partially on a dump.
Okay.
So what we need to do is we need to acknowledge the fact that we need a brand new town garage. It's going to be approximately $5 to $6 million. We currently have about half of that. I'm currently looking into grants that will meet 50%. They're not easy to come by. In the process, I'll continue to save. We'll put monies aside for this, but this is not an easy fix. So what we're trying to do is develop the system in which we can to make sure that at least it's as safe as possible. And we're in a spectrum of under the 15%, which is, a cause for alert.
How was this problem discovered?
Well, Mike has been speaking on behalf of this for a little bit of time. So we had the company, once the sensor in the cafeteria, the lunchroom, went bad. So once that went bad, we brought the sensor. The gentleman come in. He brought his portable sensor. I had him go in the back with that. I was there with Mike, and he put the sensor on the bed of the step up of the truck. It did not read. We moved the rubber mat from the drain, put it literally on the ground, and it read 15. So that's when I said, okay, enough's enough. Let's get the sensor. We'll put another sensor up here. This is what needs to be done. And we have to plug that drain. That's going to be something that has to be done. I don't know why it wasn't done.
John, I have a question.
Sure.
If it rains or they have to close the doors, what are these men doing now? And if they're stuck in
What do you
there?
do in the wintertime?
I mean-
Well, that's why we're having our engineers currently look at how do we get exhaust fans in there, and how do we do that? We are closing the door right now.
Right.
We're
I
leaving it open.
understand you're
But
not
that's why
closing-
before fall and winter, we're gonna
I
have exhaust
understand you're
fans
not
hopefully
closing
in
the
there.
door. I have
Right.
concerns about health,
Mhm. Yep.
especially the people who work there,
That's why we're doing the monitors, yep.
okay? And I'm really very concerned about that. My husband works there. I'm very concerned about it.
Absolutely.
And he's been working with this problem for many years. This has been going back to Linda and Rudy.
Talking about people in the building.
That's why we're
I'm
trying to
talking about
work on
people
it
in
right
the
now.
building.
Yeah.
Not
These
just
sensors
me.
are so important.
Not just him, but
Right, but these sensors are gonna tell them, get out of the building.
They should
Not
be
safe.
doing that though.
That sets an alarm off to tell them to get out.
It's gonna say, get out of that building.
Right.
Yeah, this is our first step. Then we need to engineer in a fix that if these sensors go off, it's hooked to something and takes that air out of there and evacuates the air. So, brings in new air. You have fresh air ducts, you have exhaust ducts. You go in parking garages, you go anywhere, you'll see them. They're everywhere. That's what we need to do to that garage until we can get a new garage for it.
And unfortunately,
Make sure
it's
the
gonna cost-
occupants are safe.
It's a safety issue. It's going to
It's a
cost
very
money.
bad safety issue.
There's no way I'm going to build a
I agree with
garage
you.
in the meantime, so.
We think 5,000 is a small fee to at least start
No, I think that's a
monitoring
great
it
thing to do.
and set
But
off
it's
alarms
also-
that get out.
It's also transferable.
Well, we all seen the blue flames up on the hill in the town of Ulster on the landfill, when they had the torches lit.
Yep.
You put that in a confined space, and you light it, and the air pressure has a lot to do with explosion.
Yep.
So, it only takes one time to have a disaster,
Okay.
Agreed.
and I'd hate to see it happen.
Us too.
I think we all agree. I think, Matt, there's still a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Any questions from the floor? All right, move for a second.
I second.
Okay. Devon's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
I just have to ask another question. What are the known health risks from exposure to methane? If employees have been in this space not knowing the seriousness of the methane, what could the possible health risks be? And should the town be encouraging the employees to be tested for certain things that could be caught early if there are, I don't know what the possible risks are, but I think that it feels to me a little bit like, oh well, it's happened for a while, we're going to take care of it now. But what about the problems that may have already been existing for several years or
I believe
decades?
PESH is coming back, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, which is the OSHA for the state of New York, and PESH will be able to answer those questions for us. Good questions asked, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's,
And when are the
Sounds
new
very
census
serious.
gonna be put in? And when are you gonna put these new censuses in, John?
Well, now that we have the resolution, I think they'll probably move forward, but I would say I'll definitely have it in by the end of next month.
Okay,
Even if I have to go up there myself, I know. I'll
only
be-
because it's getting cold,
Absolutely, absolutely. Today was like goosebumps.
okay?
No, I agree with you. So it's like I said, this is extremely important.
Well, one of the dangers of methane gas, obviously, is explosion.
Explosion, correct.
In a confined space.
Fire,
Yeah.
explosion.
And especially if it's in the garage area,
It's a huge thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you know?
Plus the fact you have, combustion going on in the garage. You know,
I wonder if the same problems exist on at the transfer station, that little building that they have where they go in to get out of the cold.
Well, there's no open floor grate in that facility.
But that's right on the landfill. I wonder if
Might want to check that one too, just.
it might be worth
The
checking.
guy comes out, takes the sensors on.
Yeah.
Gotta check.
Methane's the same density as air, so it travels with
Hangs.
the temperature.
Really current.
This transfer, that's the only enclosed
Yeah,
around their structure.
Yeah, because that's
So
static, every
for that matter, we should have all structures that are enclosed tested up there.
Yeah.
Including the kitchen. Not one, sure. So. Okay, Matt, I think there's another resolution for the rail trail.
Yep, there is. So we're looking to do some, let's see, where my cap is here. We're looking to do a little work over there, right? I'm thinking.
So there's,
Oh, yeah.
so where Marbletown and Hurley meet,
Yep.
there's an issue with some large potholes and some things that need to be filled and potentially.
Yeah. Hurley having to solve some drainage problems, part potholes with the Hurley Marbletown line. So yeah, we want to be able to do that. So the resolution is to have the Town of Hurley Highway Department address repairs on the Route 209 rail trail, whereas the Town of Hurley is in a contract with the state to maintain and help upkeep the maintenance of the Route 209 rail trail. Therefore, let it be resolved to allow the Town of Hurley Highway Department to perform the needed paving repairs throughout the rail trail. Motion.
Okay, Matt made the motion, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Divis? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, sir. I do have one other
You want to do this one?
for the highway for the
Yep.
fire department.
Yep. So we're gonna put together a resolution, the Board of Commissioners has asked us to go off our town paving contract to help out the Spillway Fire Department, parking lot. We just have to ask the state if we can piggyback, help them piggyback to get our state price for their paving.
Right. So we need state okay to do so.
Right.
And there has to be a intermunicipal agreement based on the highway, town highway and the West Hurley Firehouse.
Right, because we get that state contract pricing,
Correct.
which is really nice and really low, so we're trying to help the fire department also, get that price. So the resolution to have the town of Hurley Highway Department assist the West Hurley Fire Company with the paving of the Spillway Firehouse. Whereas the West Hurley Fire District has requested the ability to purchase blacktop and potentially have the town highway department provided service to the blacktop, the firehouse located on Spillway Road, and whereas in order to do so, the town highway department and the West Hurley Fire District would need to first establish an intermunicipal agreement to do so. And whereas the approval from the state to allow the piggybacking of the price to purchase the blacktop would be need to approved by the state, and whereas the West Hurley Fire District would be responsible to reimburse the town for the said purchasing of the blacktop and all of the materials and for the services rendered to provide for the paving. This repayment would negate any negative expenditures from the highway fund lines and provide a savings to the taxpayers. Therefore, let it be resolved to allow the town of Hurley Highway Department to purchase the blacktop and materials and perform the services to lay the blacktop as long as the highway superintendent gets the approval from the state to piggyback pricing and the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Hurley Highway and the West Hurley Fire District are agreed and signed.